In 1978, a graduate student asked a professor a simple question about a brand new skyscraper in Manhattan. That question nearly triggered one of the worst building collapses in American history. The tower had already opened. People were already working inside it, and almost none of them knew how close it came to falling. The building was the Citigroup Center, completed in 1977. It stood 59 stories tall and had an unusual problem to solve from day one. A church on the site refused to sell its corner. So architect Hugh Stubbins designed the tower to stand on 4 massive stilts, each one placed at the center of the side rather than at a corner. Why put stilts in the middle of each side instead of corners? It let the building float above the church below it. It was elegant. It was radical. It also created a structural vulnerability nobody caught until it was too late. Enter William LeMessurier, the structural engineer behind the design. His calculations accounted for straight-on winds hitting the building's flat sides. But a Princeton engineering student, in a phone call meant to be a routine compliment, asked LeMessurier about quartering winds instead, wind hitting the building at a diagonal on the corners. LeMessurier ran the numbers again. What he found terrified him. Quartering winds put nearly 40% more stress on the building's structure than straight-on winds. And there was a second problem. To save money during construction, the building's diagonal braces have been bolted together instead of welded, as originally designed. Bolted joints are weaker under extreme stress than welded ones. Combine quartering winds with weakened bolted joints, and LeMessurier calculated the building could fail in a storm expected to happen once every 16 years. Not once every 1,000 years. Once every 16. He had a choice. Stay silent and hope nothing happened, or come forward and risk his entire career, his license, and possibly criminal liability. He chose to come forward. In the summer of 1978, as Hurricane Ella churned toward New York, construction crews secretly welded steel plates over 200 bolted joints, working through the night while the building stayed open. Citigroup employees worked inside during the day, unaware that engineers were racing a hurricane to save their building from collapse. The storm changed course. The repairs were finished just in time regardless. The public didn't learn the full story for nearly 20 years. When a journalist finally pieced it together in 1995, why does a story about bolts and wind end up mattering so much? Because it reveals something uncomfortable about the buildings we walk into every day. Skyscrapers aren't finished the moment they open. They are tested by forces no calculation can fully predict, and sometimes the only thing standing between the city and disaster is one engineer willing to admit he was wrong.